and we are trying to gain a greater perspective from reading and studying the Sermon on the Mount. And I'll tell you, I feel so woefully inadequate dealing with this subject because it's the greatest sermon and the greatest discourse that was ever given by anybody ever. And I'm trying to do this thing justice in a few short weeks. And the best I can do is just hit a few highlights and hope that you dig in on your own and get the rest of it, because it's just way more than we can possibly cover on a Sunday morning. So week one, we talked about the Beatitudes, and I told you that was the foundation of the Sermon on the Mount. And it was the character in which we're able to do, or at least attempt to do, the Sermon on the Mount. Week two was the principle inside out. And everything in life, whether you're Christian or non-Christian, really starts from the inside and works its way out. And I showed that and explained that last week. And that, again, is what the Sermon on the Mount is all about. Today I'm going to be talking about the inverted law. And the inverted law, in simple terms, is this. It is treating people who mistreated you, treating them the exact opposite way that they treated you. You invert it. You turn it upside down. And when I go through this today, you're going to be listening to this and you're going, well, that makes sense. That's very simple. And it is. The concept is incredibly simple, because whatever they did bad, you just do right. You just do the opposite. It's really easy to figure out. But let me give you a little caveat here. It is the hardest thing you will ever do in your life. I'm telling you, it is just so difficult to do this inverted law thing. And so we're going to dig into it, and we're going to get into it. It reminds me of the story of the guy that was out beachcombing on a beach out in BC, and he kicks up proverbial Aladdin's lamp. And he rubs the lamp, and out comes the genie, and the genie says, I only give you one wish, so you better make it a good one. So the guy says, well, what I've always wanted to go to Hawaii, but I'm afraid to fly, so I wish for a bridge from here to Hawaii. The genie says, come on, you got to be kidding. That's way too hard. Don't you have something else you wish for? He says, well, I do have another wish. I always wished I could understand women. To which the genie said, do you want that bridge 2-lane or 4-lane? Some things are just too hard. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to be looking at a passage today, and I consider it the quintessential example of the Sermon on the Mount. And this one passage, really, if you read nothing else, it kind of sums it up. It's so extraordinary. And it is the capstone, it is the center, the crux, the nub of everything that Jesus teaches. And it's in Matthew chapter 5, verse 43, and this is what he says. You have heard it said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you, that you may be sons of your Father in heaven. For he makes the sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the just and the unjust. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Even the tax collectors do the same.